What is up, guys? It is Tony here, and today we're doing an episode of How To Photo for my weekly episode. And today we are actually going to be doing a review that kind of looks like a critique, because we're actually looking at photos that were taken with a product, and we're going to critique the quality of these photos on this lens. This lens is actually an Olloclip, O-L-L-O clip. I'll actually leave a link in the description to their site. An Olloclip lens that you attach to your iPhone 5, 5S, 4, 4S, and I believe that's all the models they make the lens for. If you go onto the website, you can see more information. You might be able to even get similar lenses for the Android platforms. But basically, this is a very cool idea. It's the idea of sliding a lens that kind of clips onto the corner of your phone in front of your camera's lens, and giving some sort of effect to the lens. Now, there's a few problems when you do this. The minute you put a lens on top of a lens, you start to lose sharpness. You start to get little problems here and there that you wouldn't get with a perfected lens. And you start to definitely lose quality, and sometimes you'll even have distortion problems. Now, in this case, there's a lot of distortion problems. Now, I'm joking, obviously, because this is the fisheye lens. It's supposed to be distorted. It's supposed to look like this. And boy, is this a good fisheye. Now, this is a good fisheye and a bad fisheye. Now, the good of this fisheye is, wow, it does the job. It gives you about 180 degrees, which is what a good fisheye should do. It's a circular 180-degree fisheye. This is as close to 180 degrees you're going to get on an iPhone. It's incredible. I actually was very skeptical that they'd be able to do a true fisheye. I thought they would just try to squeeze the image and make it look like a fisheye, but man, this really does capture everything in frame. It really does give you that fisheye distortion you want when you want that fisheye effect. The big problem with this fisheye that I see is it's a circular fisheye. So you'll see up here, it comes around, and then it gets cut off here because the iPhone's aspect ratio and because they didn't really concentrate the lens well. And also over here it gets cut off. So the croppiness of the photo when you take a photo with it is kind of bad. I mean, this is terrible. I mean, the fact that it's cropped like that. I mean, the real solution to this problem is make it into a square photo. So cut it down to about here, but then you lose your fisheye effect a little bit. You lose that 180-degree angle. Now it's more of like a 160-degree. So that's a big problem with this fisheye lens, is that it's not fitted perfectly to the phone. It doesn't give you exactly the circular look you want. I wouldn't mind it being cut here, but here it should be more circular, for sure. Or I might add, here it should be more circular, for sure. As far as, like, you know, adding color fringing, which is any sort of like weird colorations on lines and things like that. Usually fisheyes tend to have a lot of weird colorations around the edges, and you could see some like blue over here that's kind of weird. But around the lens itself, there's actually no weird colorations, which is surprising, because even on SLR cameras, more expensive cameras, you'll see with fisheyes a lot of weird fringing. There's not much fringing going on here. Now, in terms of sharpness, you'll notice this photo is very dull, especially when you zoom in, you crop in. From the wider standpoint, it isn't really that not sharp. It's a little grainy, and that's probably because I'm indoors and it was bad lighting. But man, this is a cool little photo. So the other thing you can do with a fisheye, of course, is you can get the close-up of a dog with the, you know, his nose in the face. Now, it didn't focus because the close focus on the iPhone isn't good enough. It focuses about, I would say, anywhere from 6 to 12 inches away. So, you know, it wasn't the best of, obviously this is meant to be blurred. That's kind of the concept here. But everything looks pretty good. I mean, it does lack a little bit of sharpness and detail. You'll notice that. That's because it's so wide. When something's really wide, you have to zoom in further to see things, so you don't get as much detail. This would be a really good lens for doing video, because in video you don't need as much detail. I mean, 720p, 1080p does the job. Now, this is the macro end of the lens. So on the 5S version, you get a macro, and most of their lenses have macros, and boy, I did not expect this much sharpness and clarity, and depth of field as well, with this macro lens. I mean, you really get a nice sharp image, and obviously if you zoom in, it's an iPhone image, so it's going to look terrible, but this is very sharp. Here's a really sharp macro image. Look at this thing. This is extremely sharp. You even get a bit of bokeh. You can see some bokeh circles over here. It is incredible. I mean, this is extremely sharp, extremely detailed for a phone. I mean, you can do some cool macro photography here. Now, you get a little bit of fringing here, but listen, man, this is $80. It's a cheap piece of plastic you put on your phone. Expect that type of stuff. You got to expect it. But man, this looks incredible. I mean, this looks like an image shot with a professional camera. I mean, not in terms of ideas and concepts, but it just looks really cool. Here's like a close-up of an eye, which is kind of weird and interesting. But yeah, this is another cool little macro shot. You can see the lens in the photo there. But this is cool as well. And now let's go back to the fisheyes. These are some cool fisheyes. Now this fisheye photo shows you some detail. This is a really well-lit, bright label, which means that you can actually really see that when it's well-lit, when a subject is well-lit, it looks pretty sharp. This is very sharp for the fisheye. And this is the type of photo you can take that looks really cool, like really close up to a sign or something like that. And here's a photo of a Sharpie, which is pretty cool. You know, just a little close up with a fisheye. But once again, I don't like how the crop factor. I mean, like, what's going on here? I mean, it comes up to the edge here, and this side has no circle at all. I mean, you just have a little bit of an edge here. I mean, it just seems like when you slide it on, it never fits the right way. It's a little wonky. It doesn't fall off. Like, that's not a big problem. If you look at it, I'll probably put an image up. When you slide it onto your phone, it does not fall off that easily. But man, it does bother me that these some of these fisheyes have that like weird crop factor where some of it's like out of frame. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to fit on right. But otherwise, it produces the images you want. It's great for video. It looks great with video. And in terms of image quality, it doesn't reduce the sharpness that much at all. It's very surprising because with a lot of these clip-on lenses for cameras, I've noticed that I never even wanted to use them. I never even want to get near them because they look terrible. They've reduced the quality to a point where it's like, it's not even usable. But in the case of this lens, I mean, you get some really sharp images, as you guys can see by this great photo here. I mean, it's very nice, and it's a fun little thing to play with. It's a little expensive. It's $80, but honestly, $80 isn't too bad. It's not exactly the most expensive thing in the world for what you can do with it. I mean, most professional macro lenses that get near to this, this gets near to that quality. Some of these lower-end professional macro lenses are like $500, $80, $500. I mean, what works better for you? And also, this is a lot more portable. Keep that in mind as well. So that is pretty much it. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this little review of the Olloclip iPhone clip-on lens. And if you guys want to check it out, it will be in the description. There will be a link. But that is pretty much it. I am Tony, and I'll see you guys next time.